Welcome to the world of stand-up. So we're doing this, Jason?
We are doing this. We're going deep. We're going
Jason Haugen, founder of I don't know, what's the name of your company?
Haugen RV.
Haugen RV.
Yep.
Okay. That's not why you're here, though.
No.
I don't want to talk about RVs.
Okay.
I do want to talk about kind of what's up with you, and we need to crack some jokes. So I had to cut out I produced Culture Camp.
Yep.
And we had to cut out the funniest section ever of the episode that I did with you on your show.
It was by far the funniest section ever.
Yeah, I kept it.
Okay.
I have a little.
I can't wait. It's going to be a blooper one day.
Probably.
When I'm
Well, there's
ready
nothing blooper about it other than the fact that I had to convince you that it was funny. For those of you that don't
I was shocked.
Well, first of all, okay, so everybody, this is Jason Haugen. He's the host of Culture Camp. That's a great podcast. You've had some amazing people on there. You had Darren Williams on there. You've had your father, who's quite significant in the business world. You've had yourself. Obviously, you've done solo episodes.
Yep.
You've had me.
I've had you.
I mean, I didn't want to put that right at the top as far as the best of the best, but you know.
I mean, you're up there.
Of course,
for sure.
I know.
Yeah.
It's fine. We don't have to. Everybody know. We don't have to say it.
Yeah, you're definitely up there. Yeah.
Anyway, but I was on his show, and we were having talking about comedy, and you asked about the left turn, and I was trying to describe the left turn, and I recounted an Adam Sandler joke that had a butt reference in it.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. See, you don't even want to say it on yours.
No, I don't want to recreate it because we can't recreate it.
That's true. I was kind of in shock. I was like, he just said that.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm like dying laughing in my head, and
You
I'm like
look
sweating.
like a deer in headlights.
Yeah,
You're
was because I was like, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
It was good. It was awesome. I mean, it totally was a left turn. So a perfect example of a left turn.
Yeah. I kind of feel like I need to say it now.
It's up to you. You can totally
It's my podcast.
Yeah,
so
you can do whatever you want to do.
Nah, we'll leave it later. Anyway, how you been, man?
I've been really good.
Yeah?
Really, really good.
How's the fam? How's life?
Fantastic. We just got back from a good trip in St. Lucia, so that was fun to kind of disconnect a little bit and hang out with Mikkel, and it was awesome.
You missed a huge snowstorm here, which I'm sure you were sad about.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely not sad about that. This winter's just been insane.
It has been, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I was talking to my wife about that, and we kind of messed up. In the last few Januaries, we'd get out and go someplace warm during the month of January, and we just haven't this year.
Really?
And we kind of need to.
It's the year to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last couple Januaries the last couple winters, as long as I can kind of remember, it has been pretty warm.
Yeah.
This has been insane.
Yeah.
And the snow's been insane. Good when you snowboard or ski, but
Epic when you snowboard.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just been crazy.
Yeah.
Good for our economy.
Well, dude, and you're always in Scottsdale. You're flying down there all the time. Like you don't have to deal with the winter near as. Why are we talking about fucking weather?
I don't know.
This feels like like we're on a bad first date here.
It does.
Weather,
It does.
really?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do go down there a lot. I love it.
As you should.
Yeah.
That's cool, dude. So, when I was on your show, we talked about you being more open to kind of letting loose and being funnier.
Yeah.
You doing that?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Dude, I like when I go public speak quite a bit.
Yeah.
Dude, mine's just cracking jokes all the time and picking on people, especially if it's my group.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're picking on people all the time. I have this lady who works for me, and she's been there for 5 years. Me and her like brother and sisters. So yeah, you gotta have fun with it. That's kind of my jam. My thing is to joke while I speak. I hate being super serious. I gotta have people laugh. It makes me more comfortable. So.
Do you find, and I say this respectfully because of your age is an obstacle you have to overcome with warming people up with you? Because are you even 30 yet?
No, man, I'm 29.
You're 29. Okay.
I just turned 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're a monster in the business world.
I mean, thank you. I still got a long way to go, I feel like, but yeah.
Shut up.
We're doing good.
If you didn't go any further, you'd still be a monster, dude.
Yeah, no, and I do have to think about that sometimes because it's true. I mean, I want to keep chasing and chasing and chasing. And then my wife's like, look, like if we did nothing forever, like we'd be fine. I'm like, yeah, but I just got to keep going.
Yeah.
So
I love that, dude. Like it's really inspiring. I remember, not at your level, but I started making some decent money in my late 20s. And it was an illumination for me because I realized how much I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like when you get resources and you kind of break through some barriers that you didn't realize that you could break through.
For sure.
It's kind of spooky.
It's cool. So let me ask you one question. What was the dumbest thing in your 20s when you started making money that you bought?
The dumbest thing?
Yeah. Did you go buy like anything dumb or Like, because I see this a lot with like my peer group, right? We'll start making money, or they'll start making money. I'm not going to say it's the door-to-door community, but it's door-to-door community. They'll just start going and
you're not gonna, but you did.
yeah,
Door to door, that is a crazy place to make crazy money quickly too.
And at a young age, all of a sudden they go boom, and in 4 months they make 60 grand, and then in 1 month they spend 60 grand, and then they're like, oh shit, taxes, and I gotta live for the rest of the winter. What am I supposed to do? And I just see it all the time. So I was curious if you had a story that was like
I bought everything, man. When I started, I had like, this was back in 2009. I had like 6 different Breitling watches,
really,
and 2 Rollies, and like I was stupid, and I didn't even know how dumb those purchases were until I was going broke afterwards, and I was trying to sell them, and you couldn't get shit for them. Like Breitling watches, they had that Breitling for Bentley series. Horrible investment. Don't buy them.
Really,
they don't have a proprietary like mechanism inside. It's like some random like run of the mill that's in other watches, and so like you can't get out of them.
Really, I don't know that. I don't.
Rollies are good, and pans, and Panarays, and
I know
APs and stuff. Those are all good. But I did that. I way overbought a house.
Okay,
like it's actually just a couple blocks from here. I bought this 11,000 square foot house. It had a basketball court in the basement, and a jacuzzi and a pool and the whole thing. And I bought it like almost immediately after I made my first pop of money.
Really?
And it was not a good move. I mean, gorgeous house. It ended up being.
It sounds beautiful.
We ended up. I mean, this Mediterranean. It's gorgeous. It was a Parade of Homes home. Winner of the Parade of Homes.
Wow. Especially for Utah County. That's
it's in Salt Lake County.
Salt Lake County. Oh yeah. So that's legit.
Yeah,
that's legit.
I still wish. I found out after the fact that after I got out of it, somebody else. They ended up buying it at. I ended up losing the house, and they bought it at auction for $900,000, and it was like it cost $3 million to make.
Oh.
And so I was like, oh, dude. Like every time I drive by, I'm like, I miss that house. That house. But I was so buried in that house.
Really?
I mean, $25,000 mortgage payment, and
that's
a little stupid.
That's steep, especially in your 20s. That's steep.
It was but we justified the purchase in that, like, whenever we would have clients come to town, we would just take them to my house to validate that we were legitimate in our business.
Right.
Which is ironically doesn't actually legitimize anything. It just shows I was stupid at buying a house.
Right.
But it worked.
Yeah. No, makes sense though. I mean, it's kind of that world, especially with door to door. I mean, that's why a lot of guys do it is
they flex.
They try to recruit and flex.
I tried to buy a Ferrari, but it was kind of a crazy thing. Like it was a 2008 F430 Scuderia.
Okay.
The
sick car.
Oh, they're so sick.
Yeah.
I ended up losing $25,000 on it because I put a deposit down on this place in Florida to buy it, and it took me too long to arrange the financing to buy the rest of it. And they sold it out from underneath me actually and kept my deposit. And I like tried to flex and say I'm suing for my deposit back, and they're like, yeah, go ahead. Like, we have a bulletproof thing here. You're not getting your money. Go ahead and waste attorney's fees if you want.
Wow.
And I took it to my attorney, and he's like, they're kind of right.
Damn, that's rough.
Yeah,
that's a big chunk of change.
Yeah.
Well, did you learn? I mean, learn a lot.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. Like right now it's funny because it's like we still live in our house here in West Jordan, and it's 5,200 square feet. It's a beautiful home, but it's not some fancy house yet. Like I want to be in a different position when I get into my next dream house.
Right. Yeah. I grew up in a big house, and I hate them.
Really?
Yeah.
Your house is pretty big, though.
My house currently, no. I mean, I could have went and bought like a big house. I mean, it's 3,700 square feet.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
tall, I guess, is what I was.
I grew. Yeah, it's kind of the daylight thing. But I grew up in a 20,000 plus house my whole life.
Really?
Oh yeah, and with like 2.5 acres of grass, manicured everything. I mean, it was gorgeous. And watching my dad piss away hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on maintenance and different things. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool on that.
Interesting.
I don't wanna, and they're never home. My mom and dad were on the road 300 days a year. So I'm like, what do you have this house for? We just partied in it the whole time. We had a basketball court in the basement too that we turned into like a big dance floor with fog machines and freaking have a good time. And
so you were that kid, huh?
We had a.
I heard Jason's parents are out of town. Are we having a party?
Hell yeah, we were that. We had a little designated smush room back in the day that had everything.
There it is.
And it was the. Hope my mom doesn't listen to this. But it was, I hope this is okay to talk about. But it was like we had the little boxes of Trojans there we'd put in the side, and then people just rolling in and out of there during the parties and stuff. It was a good time.
Oh my God, dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah, because even when mom and dad were home, the house was so big. There was different
20,000 square feet. Yeah. That's huge,
and it was super long and skinny. So you imagine this very long house. I mean, it was.
Where was this house?
Up in like South Ogden area.
Okay.
Between the kitchen and the garage was 100 yards. So the hallway, or maybe 8. I mean, it was so freaking long. Like, and so you couldn't hear anything. Like if we were going crazy and bumping in the basketball court, that my mom and dad would never know what's going on. I mean, we would have 30, 40 people over. They would never even know anybody was over.
That's awesome. Actually.
Yeah. Oh, it was epic for sure.
Wow. What did your dad do?
He actually was a distributor in AmWay.
Oh, he must have been one of the big dogs.
Yeah, he was. He was arguably one of the top guys in the world for 25 years.
What does that argument look like? Who else would be?
There's like he was right underneath Dexter Yeager. With Dexter Yeager's like the biggest to ever live.
Yeah.
And he was probably one of his biggest legs.
Wow.
So, but he pretty much built Dexter's other legs too. So, yeah, my mom and dad
AmWay,
were beasts.
So he was just like recruiting and
yeah. I mean, he was really good at speaking.
I mean, I've always found direct sales companies interesting because basically, and you being so close to that with your father, tell me if I'm wrong. It seems that in order to be successful in those type of business models, you kind of have to be a coach.
Yeah.
Like, because you get out of your warm market from the people that you know, you have to get used to rejection. You've got to be able to have good messaging. You got to be able to live in a way that makes people think like, well, what's that guy doing? How can I be a part of it? There's all of these different factors that are sometimes unspoken factors to be able to be successful at it.
Yeah, and that's why a handful are, right?
Right.
And my mom and dad were probably one of the best motivational speakers in the country at the time. Like they helped build up Robert Kiyosaki. They helped build up all these guys that we know now. I mean, they were kind of like the OGs back in the day. And I mean, we were with presidents. We were with. I mean, they were the people. I mean, if there was social media back in the day, they would be like, the Ed Milet's and different people.
So you're fucking Rob Kardashian, is what you are, dude.
I mean, well, it's funny, but no one knows, right? Because they were not. I mean, they had a couple lawsuits that were national news. I mean, Fox, MSNBC. I mean, there was 100 reporters outside the courtrooms and couple their lawsuits because it was my mom and dad getting in the lawsuits. And so
really,
yeah, I mean, they're
big time,
relatively big time and famous back in the day, but it was, the 80s. My dad got an AmWay in 1982 and then, left in 2008. And so back then social media wasn't really a thing. Facebook wasn't really a thing. Like how they listened to their audio or like their talks was on tapes.
Yep. I remember that.
And so that was their jam. So like within their own right, if you knew them, you knew them. And most people in Utah kind of knew who they were. Yeah. But I'll go scan my freaking Delta ticket at the thing, and they like look up and they're like, "Are you Randy and Valerie's son?" I'm like, "Yeah, leave me alone. Like, let me walk down the thing." But people hit me up all the time about that.
Is that why you fly private now? Is because of the Delta?
No, I fly private for a lot of other reasons. But
I can't handle the heat from mom and dad.
Well, and that's them. They used to. We could not fly. We could not go in a commercial airport.
They were that famous.
Oh yeah, we couldn't go grocery shopping. We couldn't anything. How have I not heard about your dad? Like, this is a crazy. I'm wondering in my mind. I'm connecting dots here because my family in the 80s lived in the state of Wyoming. We were in a small town called Glen Rock, which was we lived in a town called Douglas and then a town called Glen Rock, and both of these towns were outside of Casper, Wyoming. Okay. And my dad got into AmWay. I guarantee it was my dad's group.
Really?
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Well, see, this is the funny thing is because my dad had those tapes and stuff, and he would listen to that. And I remember one time, like, I had AmWay shoes and shit they would buy, and my mom would come in with like the catalog, and be like, "What do you want, sweetie?" It was like this thing of like, we're gonna be super rich. We're dad's drawing circles and the whole thing. And I wonder if my dad ever met your dad or if there was any crossover with that.
I mean, I don't know if your dad's still around, but like if you. Yeah, they would know. Okay. I guarantee they would know.
Well, they didn't do anything.
No, it doesn't. I'm guaranteed that like all those tapes that they had were Randy and Valerie Haugen. They would sell hundreds of thousands of them a month.
I'm going to ask my mom if she knows those names.
Yeah, I bet. Because they had a big group over there. But yeah, it was crazy. Like what
was it like? So your parents were like loaded.
I mean, They were. I mean, they never really showed us.
I'm
much,
just wondering,
right?
like, because you seem, and respectfully, you seem really down to earth. You don't seem like a rich kid.
Well, they were rich. We weren't. I mean, they would tell us that. But like, look, we're rich. You're not. We're flying private on our jet. You're flying commercial on whatever you can do in the back.
Really?
Oh yeah. We're going to the airport in a limo. We're just going to drive and park in long-term parking. Like we wouldn't. Like they would stay in these massive like presidential suites at the Grand Wailea in Maui. We wouldn't stay with them. We would stay in a regular room. Always.
Okay.
They would fly down private jets in St. George, and we would drive to St. George and stay in the. I will never forget staying. There was one exit back in the day on St. George Boulevard in the Ambassador Inn, and it is still there. That's the place we would stay at. My mom and dad would stay in all these nice hotels, and then they had $1 million back then. It was $1 million motorhome coach, like a big tour bus.
Yeah.
And they would drive that just to stay at the arenas because they couldn't leave the arenas. If someone found out where they were staying in a hotel, there'd be 2,000 or 3,000 people in the lobby that trying to see them, and so they would just sneak out in the back and go sleep in their bus.
Does your dad have like an Instagram following or anything?
Zero Instagram, zero LinkedIn,
If he got
zero
on
Facebook, nothing.
he could be back in that world if he wanted to.
I mean,
sure.
he's 70 now and has zero desire. His whole
How
thing
cool is that,
in
though?
life
He's
is
like, I don't care anymore.
I want to be the richest person you've never heard of.
That's his goal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And
Is he still involved heavily in business and things, or is he retired?
Yeah, he still has a lot of business stuff. Like I've heard like Bridge Investments or the Bridge Fund or Bridge.
From like Bridger Pennington?
No, yeah. So John, like he was, 20 years ago, my dad was involved that when it was called the Rock Fund, and it's kind of evolved. So yeah, he's done some cool things and big things. We owned Costa Vida, but a ton of restaurants, ton of Johnny Carino's, which is kind of like Olive Garden, big commercial developments. He used to be a home builder. Like he's done a little bit of everything.
That's so great, dude.
Yeah. But they were rich. We were broke as heck.
Well, I was gonna say you don't come across like a rich kid. If I was just a meeting, I'd be like, that's Jason. He's just normal. And because you've been around those people where you're like this. You know what I'm talking about when I say like a rich kid.
Oh yeah, and it drives me nuts. Like we were. Everybody knew we were the wealthiest kids in the school. Mm-hmm. We drove the worst cars in the school. We got nothing. Once we were turning 16, we were broke off. Like you go get your own job. If basketball's not a job, so you have to figure out how to get a job around basketball practice. So save enough money through the week, maybe you can work Saturday and Sunday. Like do your thing. Yeah, work hard. That's how you. But it was cool to watch my mom and dad hustle because we learned. I say we because I got a twin brother, and then older brother, older sister.
You have a twin.
Yeah.
Is it like a
No, we're fraternal.
Okay.
Yeah. But he works for our company, the RV company. So does my older brother. But yeah,
do you think you'll be that same way with your kids?
Dude, I have had this debate so many times. I really don't know because I want to, and I think that it taught me so much. But I have busted my ass so hard to give my daughter and my wife and future kids a life that now I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
But I definitely think you can give them experiences and give them a great life without expectation and teach them like some good moral, like good values, good moral, good everything. Like my mom and dad did. I mean, we would sometimes fly on jets. Like they knew the DeVosses who owned, they owned the Orlando Magic and they owned AmWay. We'd fly on their big jets all the time. My mom and dad didn't have one that big. It was, like a 6-seater. But it was not an expectation for us. Like we were very grateful for everything that we did. My mom and dad are so grateful for everything. I mean, we got a lot. I mean, we would used to get like personal Christmas cards from the Bushes. That was not a White House thing. It was like a personal thing from the family.
Wow.
And my mom and dad, I just remember them being so grateful for everything that they did for us and Reagan and all these guys that my dad was rubbing shoulders with and just being so grateful. So I think that's what is instilled in us as kids, is to be so grateful for everything that you have and don't take anything for granted.
I love that.
So
I recognize that temptation. It's like I find myself in an interesting spot when I see kids in first class.
Yeah.
It bugs me.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
Right.
Why does that punk kid need to be in first class?
Right.
Because of their dad, because of their mom. Like, and I get that there's a blend there where it's like you got to give your kids. There's a reason too. They're my kids. Like they get to be where I'm at.
Right.
That's one attitude that people have and one way of living it, and I like that. Blessing your kids that way and having them have access to the spoils of your wins. I like that.
Right.
But I don't at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like you've got to instill an ethic in there where they got to know that you got to earn it.
Yeah. Like one time, I mean, we've flown first class a couple times with my daughter, but it's one of those times they get upgraded, and I'm like, oh, sure, like, whatever.
But dude, again, I don't care for the sake of like it's your money. Buy what you want to buy with that.
But I agree. Like you got to earn like everything is, and that's what was cool about my mom and like watching them is everything they did was earned. I mean, being on the road 300 days a year for basically my whole life, my sister's life, my brother's life, like that's a lot of sacrifice, right? So we saw them hustle. I mean, you have to get what you want, you have to have hard things, or you have to do hard things.
Yeah.
Funny, one time we were flying to Cancun or Puerto Vallarta. I will never forget this. So we're flying to Puerto Vallarta. It's my mom and dad and me and my twin brother, and we're going to Puerto Vallarta. And the lady, my dad was a multi-million miler on Delta, even with their own plane back in the day. He's flown so much. And so the lady comes up to him and brings me up there. Hey, Paige and Randy Haugen came up to the podium, whatever. So my dad walks up there and I go with him. The lady's like, hey, we have a couple seats available. We'd like to upgrade, your sons. And my dad looked at her and like, why the heck would you do that? And the lady was like shocked. Then he's like, what did they do to deserve my status that I worked so hard for? They did nothing to do that. The lady was like, just stood there.
She's like, who are you?
Yeah, like, what the hell's going on? My dad's like, no, I don't want them upgraded. Put them in the back. If you have any seats in the back, put them more in the back. So, okay. Like, I'm sure she's never heard that before, right?
Because you're like most people nudging your dad. What the hell,
but
bro?
But I was like, I'm just grateful to go on this trip. Like, I was grateful to spend time with mom and dad. So if whatever they could take us to, like if they would, it was cool because like I can tell you how many times I went to the Grand Wailea in Maui, which that sounds awesome. It's a Waldorf Astoria. I've probably been there 10, 15 times. I've been there one time that I can remember seeing my mom and dad at the actual resort. And we would be there together in theory, but we would never see them. We would go in vacation, whatever, with a babysitter, a nanny, whoever, and then we'd leave. We would never see them. So it's kind of like a weird dynamic. And so with this part of our trip, it was a business trip, but we were excited because they were going to spend a little bit of time with them. So we're getting on the plane and the lady hands me and my brother tickets. She's like, I upgraded you because your dad kind of scares me. And I just want to make sure you're going to be okay with it. Am I getting you in trouble? I'm like, no, I'll be all right. And I was like, it was the first time I ever flew first class. We're like, dude, we got unlimited Coke. We're just pounding Cokes, like all this stuff. Like, this is how people live. Like, we've made it. And I think like now, like I have a big drive because like, it's not like we got that taken away from us, but like now I have a big drive of like, I just like experiences like that. It keeps me motivated. And I like to give my daughter a little bit of taste, but I mean, we took my daughter on my plane and she was like, oh, like run out of the car. And I'm thinking like proud father moment that I could take my family is when 2 years ago, Pac-12 championship in Vegas for the University of Utah. Yeah. She gets out and she's like, oh, look at daddy's little plane and such a little baby. And I was like, okay, get back in the car. We're going back over there. Like, I was like, damn, he just totally freaking messed me up. My whole dreams and calls my plane a little baby plane, but it's okay.
I love that too. My daughter had this experience at school. It actually made me feel good. She asks me, she goes, Dad, what does it mean to be successful? And I go, I just instinctively go, why are you asking me? And she goes, she's doing this report and she needed to ask somebody successful what the definition of successful was. She's like, well, you're successful, right? And it shocked me. I'm like, yeah, I am actually. Yeah. And then, so the answer that I gave was success to me means being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, how you want.
Right. Freedom.
Full freedom. It's not about a number. It's not about anything. It's just about, access to freedom.
Right.
And it was cool too, because like I picked her up in my car.
Right.
And she doesn't like it. She's
really?
Like, because people see her get out of my Ferrari and then they come talk to her. Dude, she's had randos ask her for money.
What?
Can I have some money? You're rich. And she's like, I'm not rich. That's not your dad. So that's not me. Like she's had to already have that conversation and she hates stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, we would get used so much for our house, used and abused by people.
Oh, I'm sure,
and that's why when I growing up, I think out of high school, when I found out, okay, these people aren't really my friends because now we don't really see each other regularly. Like, screw them. And getting used and abused, and it made me like hate people, like legitimately hate people. And it took me a little bit to get over it because I'm like, why would you like me? Like when I see like wealthy people or quote unquote celebrities or athletes, like, I absolutely want nothing from you. Like people are always like, what can I do for you? I'm like, unless you know anything about the RV business, I don't think there's much you can do for me. Like I don't see you in the business. I just want a friend. Like I want a genuine relationship. Yep. Now that doesn't mean we have to kick it every day. Like I'm not asking to be intrusive in your life, but just let's have a good relationship.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, oh, okay.
They're not used to that, dude.
Yeah. And I'm like, you can't give you can't give me anything unless you like want to give you a bunch of money to go buy more dealerships. But I'm like, I'm not, because I'm not in the norm industry. Like most people, like real estate and broker, like this and that and the other. They're like, oh hey, I'm doing this development, or oh hey, I'm doing that, which I am getting into. Like I'm so used to the RV business. I'm like, unless you know something about a fifth wheel, then you really can't do anything for me.
I've noticed that too through comedy. I've been able to make friends with like some of the most famous comedians on the planet, and it's a weird dynamic because when things shift in those relationships when they get it that you're really not wanting anything from them.
Yeah, because I've even had people like, oh, I'll post for you. Well, your demographics really, they're looking for trailers?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, sure, if you want to do that, cool, but like that's not really my point of like I want the, like I never even have to put it on, like I don't care about social. I just want to be able to shake your hand and say, what's up, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like, and I got good relationships with a lot of these people because I want nothing from them.
Yeah.
And I'm always like trying to help and give value to them and say, hey, hey, I noticed you're down in Cabo. I got really good restaurant recommendations. If you want them, I'm down there a lot. I'm down there way too much, but I'm down there a lot. I know some people that can, oh yeah, what's going on? Let them know. I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, so just, it's crazy. But I grew up in that, man. Like, I grew up rubbing shoulders with a lot of these famous people. I remember sleeping next to George Foreman when he was completely broke.
Really?
Yeah, and just thought it was a big-ass dude sleeping on the couch next to us in our bus. And I'm like, whatever. And you just treat people like people. And see how you can serve them. Like, stop asking for stuff. Give people stuff.
Well, they're just normal people. Like,
for sure.
Athletes, comedians, celebrities, even influencers. Like, they're just normal people.
Oh, yeah.
When you get around people that have a lot of spotlight on them, you forget sometimes that they aren't the spectacle that you're seeing on the other side of your screen or your TV or whatever.
Right. And most people are broken. Right. Like,
right.
If you think about like yourself, most people are like kind of fucked up. Like,
yeah.
If you really think about it, especially being in that limelight, like I saw it at a very small, non-social media realm in my life about how it was like miserable, not even being nervous to go to the grocery store, being nervous to go to the gas station. Like we had our bus, we would get it repainted all the time because people would recognize the paint job and follow us around. And so it got a little
creepy, dude.
Yeah, super creepy. People would stand outside of our gate and take pictures of us playing in the yard. And it's like, this is weird. People are just weird. And so, like, I totally respect that. Now, nothing compared to what social media has the power to do today. Yeah. But, I mean,
to get canceled back then, you actually had to do something
bad.
bad.
You had to do something bad. And then it was like, it only made maybe a regional news or like maybe national. But that would be hard because how would national even find out about it? Right. Like it's, back in the day, you could get away with literally
there
murder
was
sometimes.
Actual journalists back then that like tabloid journalists that were all about I mean, now you have TMZ and everything's a tabloid. Everybody's filming this stuff, but
right.
Yeah, dude, it's a different
then you actually like the TMZ actually had to be there at the right time and go try to find some fucked up shit. Now it's just like, oh, just posted on Instagram. Hey man, can I pay you $1,000 for this Instagram post? Like use the video. Oh yeah, now it's freaking lazy journalism.
Dude, have you seen that movie Nightcrawler?
Yeah.
With Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's a crazy show, dude.
Nuts, man.
Just manufacturing shit going wrong so that you can report on it.
Yeah.
It's got to be worse now with social.
Oh, because of how the power of viral.
Yeah.
Back, when it was just TMZ, you only could do so much. And if you only watch TMZ, that's the only time you ever saw anything.
Right.
Or maybe a little MTV. But yeah, now it can go viral in 2 seconds. So yeah, like I always think about when things happen of how much is, manufactured or how much is the truth or not the truth, or like it's just a scene because now everybody involved is famous. If it's a good or bad or whatever happened, now everybody involved is famous because it went viral. And and that's all, like it's sad. That's all people look for is value is, oh, I'm going to go viral, followers and this and that.
I've had this thought a lot that I think that with how fast technology has allowed us to change access to information and access to people, that like our brains can't handle it.
Right.
Like we're out of our gourd right now, literally.
Right.
Like we have access to, with its social media and phones and YouTube and all that stuff, we have access to things that we can't process.
Right.
But we're trying to, and that's why you have so much issue with depression with kids, and you have issue with identity, and you have all this gender stuff that's just all over the place. It's just you have young, very impressionable minds, and then there's legitimate like evil influences out there that are trying to control.
Right.
And here we are.
Yeah, we see too much. Like there's just like, anything good or bad. Like we see too much. Like if some You know, like I don't know how you feel, but like I'm like some shootings or some stuff like that. Like it's almost glorified on social media, and everybody's sharing like the raw video of stuff. And I'm like, if my daughter was scrolling through Instagram and saw that, like I'd be mortified.
Dude, I remember as a kid, like, do you remember that show Hannibal that was like a sequel to Silence of the Lambs? Okay.
Yeah.
There's a scene in that where like he had cut the bone of the scalp off, and he's like eating a dude's brain out the top. I remember I threw up. I saw that in a movie theater, and I was like, it was so shocking to my system.
Dude, it's normal now.
Dude,
that's scary.
My family jokes that I should have been a doctor because I have zero issue with blood now. Like I can see the most grotesque in real time injuries, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like it doesn't even faze me anymore.
Yeah. Dude, it's scary because it's all we see on social media. Video games, social media
is real.
It's so real, and I think that's like a problem with the world right now is that it's like death or like murder or anything. It's hey, like we grew up playing all these video games. We grew up seeing it all over social media. We grew up people being glorified to do it.
Yeah.
You know, whether now they're famous, and so now you have a lot of stupid kids doing stupid things to get famous.
Yeah,
and okay, cool. Sounds good.
The more shocking, the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really concerning. You and I had talked about something last time we talked, but I've seen it happen more and more where people they like to glorify for the sake of likes and views horrible situations for their own gain.
Yeah.
Like they want to show something that is quite personal. Like if somebody dies or somebody's going to commit suicide or something, like they like want it to be a viral moment.
Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what situation that you're talking about that was super screwed up. And it's sad because in other people's brokenness and sadness or trauma or something happened, they want to, hey, I'm going to tell the story, not for the story's fact, it's for my own personal gain. And how many followers can I get for this or for that? Like it's disgusting.
Dude, I had this thought. I think I'm onto something. Sometimes I have a little crazy conspiracy brain here.
Okay.
I really wonder how accurate likes and views are on social platforms and how much they're fucking with us by making us think that people like and view our shit. And that a part of the algorithm that they have is comments from people and things that like make you think in this world that you're doing something different. Right. And that, I've got like, if you look at how crazy fast people could grow on TikTok back during the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
I don't buy for a second that's all real.
Right.
But those are actual people on every one of those accounts. I mean, there's a girl that goes to our gym that's got like 4 million followers on TikTok.
Holy shit.
And she does her stuff, and I'm like, that can't all be real.
Right.
4 million people?
Right.
4 million people. That's like
a lot of people.
City. That's a massive metropolitan city.
There's more people in Utah.
Yeah. And she's got like, billions of likes and shit. And it's like, how can that be real?
That's crazy.
And then you look at Instagram and everything, and that's what everybody's trying to hack. They're trying to hack the algorithm to get more likes and follows for whatever
no one can figure it out.
Nobody can figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's all real. I would love, that would be a cool movie idea to like create some sort of thing where like there's specific accounts that those social platforms choose, and it's just like, we're going to make Jason viral.
Right.
We're going to make everything he
Dude,
do
I
blow
bet. I mean, there's got to be a way that people are messing with the algorithm that they.
Oh, you know it's true.
Yeah.
Dude, if you followed Elon's purchase of Twitter, he's been very open with the things that he's been learning as he goes through and kind of fixes things. First of all, he fired like 7,500 people right out the gate, and he's had to get rid of all these like activist programmers and people in the organization that he didn't even know were still there sabotaging what he was trying to do.
Really?
And so
I haven't really paid much attention to the Twitter thing, but I know it's messing a lot of people. It's
better now.
Yeah,
it's way better now, and it's they don't throttle. Well, they still throttle you because Elon's figuring out all this stuff that was in the code that was put there to throttle conservative voices and to throttle different ideas.
Right.
And he's very open about it. It's kind of crazy. So it's like, if that can, to see then, of course, like the collusion with the government and the FBI and all this stuff. Like if you go and Matt Taibbi is an actual journalist, and he's been a part of that with Barry Weiss, who's another actual journalist, where they've been going through and they have these drops that they call the Twitter files. Have you heard of any of this stuff?
I haven't.
You go to Twitter and they drop these Twitter files thing, and basically Elon has given them access to Slack channels, to emails, to everything to show what was going on.
Really?
And just last week, the former head of safety and public safety, I can't remember her name. She's a Persian woman. And then another guy named Yoel Roth, who was one of their main people. They were being interviewed by Congress at this one of the, I can't remember, Jim Jordan's the leader of the group, but there was actual collusion and silencing of voices around COVID, around Trump, around like the Hunter Biden laptop story. That was a big one where like the FBI came to Twitter and they had all these back channels and top secret things where they were basically, the FBI was coming to Twitter saying, hey, you need to do this account by you need to silence this tweet. You need to do, like, directing them.
Really?
And internally they were kind of dealing with like, how do we handle this? And they just kind of played along and they did whatever the FBI said. Before the New York Post, if you remember, they released a story about this Hunter Biden laptop. They had all this stuff about Joe Biden stuff in China, stuff in Ukraine, his dealings, like all the money, like everything was in this laptop. And the New York Post did a story about it. And Twitter, and before the story came out, the FBI went to Twitter and they go, look, there's going to be a story that's coming out. Actually, no, that's not the order. The story came out. The New York Post posted the link to the story on Twitter. The FBI immediately said, this is Russian disinformation. We have proof that this came from a Russian whatever, all this shit. And so they muted it. And they had this policy that was basically you can't release leaked or hacked materials. And they were trying to say that the Hunter Biden story was a leaked or hacked material, which is how they justified internally what they were doing. And then Facebook went in line, like everything, they silenced that. And then the Twitter files about this showed all of those communications internally and with the FBI and everything about what happened. And it was 100% to like keep that story out of the media.
Wow.
And there's been like COVID, same thing. Like they silenced two doctors, Robert Malone and Peter McCullough. They like blocked their accounts. And these guys were educated at Harvard. Robert Malone was one of the guys that invented the mRNA like sequencing in vaccines. Like, so he knew about what was going on. And they were saying this vaccine doesn't stop transmission. It doesn't prevent the spread. Like it's a bunch of this is all through pharma. Like this is a money-making machine. Like,
right.
And they cut it off. Oh. Fauci, dude, that guy, I can't wait to see him be behind bars.
Oh, yeah.
He is the shittiest human being ever. And he's the highest paid government employee.
Really?
Yeah. Like his salary is like $450 or something for a government employee. And they don't, this is another thing. The NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, there's a law, and how they got it passed, I don't know. Probably in some pork belly part of some bill that they signed.
Right.
That makes it to where they don't have to disclose royalties that they receive from pharma at all. So
what?
Yeah. So there had been,
but they're making college kids do all this shit,
right? So you have the institute that is that's supposed to be governing the safety of these medications, be able to be bought, and they don't have to report it.
That's crazy.
And a lot of this stuff came out too. Like there's more things about that in the Twitter files where like the FBI paid Twitter,
really,
to help with the cost of all of the additional policing that needed to be done for the tweets.
This is freaking insane.
Well, dude, we would have never known this if Elon Musk hadn't have bought Twitter.
Right. I'm glad he did.
I am too.
Yeah. Well,
now he's public enemy number one. Like all these lefties are like, dude, he's just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He hates free speech. I'm like, what? No,
that's the point.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, it's crazy. And it's funny. It's like, oh yeah, we love free speech until someone else says something that we don't like, and then we hate free speech, but we only can speak freely on our side, but the other side, no. Like it's just, dude, it's so screwed up.
Well, the idea that we have to preserve our democracy by having more rules. Like, wait, what?
What?
Don't you? Huh?
That's not I don't know. Dude, I have a family member who lives in Canada. And and it's miserable, especially through COVID. Miserable.
Yeah.
You can't think for yourself in a country like that.
Yeah.
And that's relatively freer than most governments like that.
Yeah.
And it was insane. Like literally people being thrown in jail all over the place.
Yeah. And then you have that tyrant Trudeau up there acting like he's just the most sweet, benevolent, nice guy.
Yeah.
Dude, I've always said this. I don't think there is a decent human being that's a politician. I think the people that get into politics could get in as a decent human being, but the system itself will corrupt.
Well, once they find out the gains they can get and they play the game and, hey, you want to be in this for the long game, this is how you have to do it. Oh, okay, cool.
Dude, the proof of that is the rules about investing.
Right.
You know what's funny is people don't realize this. So if politicians can invest however they want with the information they receive.
Right.
A normal citizen, that's insider trading.
Right.
So if you're on like Nancy Pelosi was over the banking committee for a long time, and her husband, Paul, was a massive stock trader that was always investing at the perfect time in these right companies, knowing stuff was going to happen because of things that his wife would tell him.
Right.
Well, back in 2010, there was a public upswell in that happening, and the general public was pissed. And it was so much so that it became a thing where we're like, no, we don't. I think it was around the time when Martha Stewart went to jail.
Right.
Because people were like, dude, what she did was so freaking like it was, oh, we got a whim of this is going to go bad. Let's get out of this stock. And then she got tagged for insider trading.
It's crazy.
And they used her as an example.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so that caused more scrutiny to come on politicians because these politicians were making so much money investing. Right. Well, so there was a law. The politicians passed a law. They said, fine, we're listening to the people. We're about the will of the people. We represent you. They passed a law that said that politicians couldn't do that. Literally in the next session of Congress, after they passed this law, like 6 months later, they pulled it out.
Right.
And they didn't say anything to the public that they did that. So they made the public think, oh yeah, we've got these protections on ourselves now. We can't do that. And then they yanked it.
Yeah, dude, it's all for their gain.
Of course.
How do you go in the office with a couple $100,000 of net worth and now you're worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars?
Trump is the only politician that got poorer being politics.
Right. Yeah, he even said, like, I remember one time he was in a press conference and he was like, I'm getting, like, I think it was between when he got elected and when he took over in January, that he's like, I'm spending this time basically figuring out how I'm going to turn all this over to my kids, and then probably going to lose a lot of money. Yeah. And he did. I mean, and a lot of his stuff was real estate, went up, went down. I mean,
well, dude, the Trump name is so toxic right now anywhere. Like, it's got to have been a massive thing for him to, like, because his brand used to be, dude, everybody used to love that guy.
Right.
He was like motivational speaker guy. I want to be like Trump. Like rappers were talking about Trump. Like everything was cool, dude. Yeah. And then he does this, and all of a sudden he's loathed in such a despicable way for being all these different other things. It's like, dude.
When we go back to a lot of the interviews before he was president, a lot of them asked, "Hey, would you ever run for president?" Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, I think you should. Like even Oprah asked him, "Oh, I think you should."
That's an iconic clip, that Oprah clip, where he's like, "I would only do it if I needed to."
Yeah,
things were going so bad that we need to.
Yeah, and then he does, and then. That
he gets the machine turned on.
Right. And he did I think for every race or like sex, whatever, straight, gay, bi, like every LGBTQ, I think he did a lot for those communities.
Oh, he did, but he will never get credit for it.
No.
Because he doesn't, like, I've had this thought that, like, it's interesting when you look at the difference between conservative politics and conservative messaging and conservative policies versus liberal politics and policies. It's like the liberal side owns culture.
Right.
So they've got the musicians and they've got Hollywood and they've got the cool, good-looking people.
Right.
So they have a better marketing machine.
Right.
But their message is soulless. It's about everybody being the same. It's about, socialism. It's about all these things that, like, don't actually allow you upward mobility.
Right.
The messaging for conservatism is way more self-empowering. If it's your fault if you fail,
right?
But it's your fault as well if you succeed, and you get to take the gains of that success. Capitalism isn't evil. Like, there's reasons that you can make money in it and have it not be a bad thing. Like,
right.
But they don't know how to market that message.
Yeah, no.
And you have all the ugly people that are conservative.
Yeah, I mean,
except for chicks, way hotter chicks on the conservative side.
I will say, yeah, for sure. But yeah, like everybody calls, the conservative side a bunch of rednecks and different things like that. But it's true. I mean, if you look at the different sides, one of them is, hey, we're just hey, everybody's fine.
I see you. Yeah. You want to be a pixie fairy and have leopard gender,
but then it's like
identity. Cool.
But then you see people, in those situations, and it's like you can do whatever you want to do. Like, you can be whoever you want to be, no matter what it is. Like, that's the part about being an American, is you are free to do whatever you like, to be whoever you want, not to do whatever you want, because people, you can't just start shooting people, but like to be whoever you want to be and kind of pretty much say whatever you want to say, within our laws and different things like that. But that's being stripped from us. And like, you're seeing it on both sides, and a lot in Hollywood and athletes and different things that they speak, like they want to do something or say something and they're told they can't. It's like, wait, now I'm kind of confused of what's going on. Like, this is defeating the purpose of America. And I think that's what people are getting lost in, is like we have some very good friends of ours, you and I have mutual friends that are about like free, whatever that means on either side, whatever that means to you. Like, Waylon's all about free, man, free, 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 free.
Yeah.
It's not, don't like, he's not saying, we all know Sean's conservative, but like, pick a side. He's saying be free to do whatever you want to do. Like,
well, that's the irony. You can't choose freedom and espouse things that don't make you free.
Right. And that's why we're in America. And it's funny because I have some family members that are from out of the country, and they were in the war over in Bosnia Croatia area, really? And like living through that war, did everything they possibly could to come to America, and then he brought his family over to America, and he's like, you don't understand how good it is here. We go back, you don't understand how good it is. I mean, you hear about these like European countries and Asian countries, like in modern times, it is like why would you want that? And so it's crazy that everybody that comes in America, they're dying to get in America, literally dying to come to America, and we take it for granted. All they want to do is they hear about this American dream and all these things going, like you can be whatever you want to be, or you be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. You can hustle. The harder you hustle, the more money you can make. All these dreams and aspirations where their governments tell them to be one way or do one thing or this, and that, and the other. They're dying to come here, and we sit here and we take it for granted.
Yeah.
And it's like you just talked about, like success, right? And freedom. Like we're losing the freedom aspect of this. Like in our Star Spangled Banner, it talks about freedom. And like we forget our national anthem, not Star Spangled Banner. I guess it's called the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. But we're losing that. And it's like it's the people.
The scary part is that like America's the last bastion.
Right.
Like even though there are other technically free countries, it's not like here.
No, not at all.
And if this one falls, dude, the world is fucked.
Yeah. Like we kind of keep the a little bit of that nucleus in the entire world of okay, like what is America going to do? How are we going to react to different things? What are they going to do? And if we lose that, man, like it's sad. And like I think about my daughter growing up. I'm like, man, what are we going to do? What am I supposed to do? Like I grew up, saying the national anthem, being prideful in a flag. And now when you fly a flag out, you're looked down upon almost.
Yeah, you're considered like you're a right winger just by having an American flag.
Yeah, but then you go talk to these military guys, and they're like, I fought, like gave my life or gave my limb or gave everything that I had to fight for the freedom for you to do whatever you want to do, whatever that is.
I think part of there's a couple of different angles in that I think is interesting to discuss. One of the angles is that, so if you talk like veterans, right?
Right.
I remember watching one of Rogan's podcasts, and he was talking about how a lot of the attack on America coming from within, and saying we're systemically this, and we're all basically trying to remove any sort of benevolence or goodness from what we are.
Right.
Oh, you stole this land from the Indians. They're like basically having every pivotal thing that has made America possible be something that is bad.
Right.
And that we're bad at our core, and that capitalism is bad. Everything that makes America great is considered bad. And Joe was saying that he's like, well, look, this is going to be a problem because you have this collection of people that have been highly trained by the United States government that have fought for this country, that know how shitty it is in other places.
Right.
And you're going to poke the bear.
Right.
These guys know how to fight. They know they're trained, they're armed. Like,
right.
Keep yapping. Like, which side is going to win that one?
Right.
And all this, you go to places like Twitter and other social media, and they talk about the civil war that's coming. And I laugh. I'm like, that's going to be a 5-minute war.
Right.
If it's an actual physical war, like the blue hair that can't decide which bathroom to use is going to beat the veteran that killed 20 Afghanis.
Right.
Like, really?
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And like, it's sad because I do a lot with the military, and it's hard for me to like look at them and they're saying why did we even go to war? Like, what were we fighting?
Well, that's
for?
the other part of it. It's like it's starting to come out more that a lot of these things that brought us into war weren't required.
Right.
That they were a politician's.
It's all a gain, right?
Well, the war industrial complex is real in that there is an entire industry that makes billions upon billions of dollars profiting off of war.
Well, what is that movie? Is it War Dogs?
War Dogs, yeah.
Yeah, where they did the arms dealing. Dude, it's so true. Yeah. And like, then you find out, or at least I can't remember, I was reading a story about how many politicians were tied to the arms race and all of these like big military suppliers and
Right.
Boeing and everybody that was making all of these aircraft for.
Well,
for
dude,
all
the
of
vice
that.
president when Bush Jr. was president, Cheney, he came off of to become a politician. He was at Halliburton as one of the main guys, and then all of a sudden, the war in Iraq, Halliburton's the main contractor that's building the pipelines for oil, and
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
he's getting all that cash.
Right. Oh, it did billions.
Billions.
Like maybe more than that. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent so much money over there in the last it's been since 2001, so 22 years.
I wish that we had some temperance as Americans in that we could understand that two things can be the same. Two things can be true, not the same, but two things can be true. I wish as Americans that we had some like temperance understanding that two things can be true at the same time, meaning there can be dark parts of our past, but yet flawed men can do great things.
Right.
And that both we can be completely shamed and full of shame that we allowed slavery to be here as long as it was.
Right.
And the denial of women's rights and some of the other things that have been like dark parts of our past. We can say
Right.
that's bad, but also recognize we've come out of it.
Yeah.
And instead of acting like everything is because of white supremacy and the patriarchy and all this nonsensical, unprovable ideas, we go, well, look, yeah, there's some things we need to work on here and have a real discussion about it.
Right.
And the problem that I've noticed and why we don't is because it would expose the intentions of the people bringing it out, and none of those intentions are actually to sow unity.
Right. No, it's
to
the divide.
profiteer.
Yeah, it's the profit and divide.
Yeah.
It's to keep people in there wanting more of whatever they can quote unquote get them. It's keeping them on the teat, right?
Yeah.
And instead of making us a one unit or unity or be standing behind one cause, they're trying to divide everything because they can figure out how to profit and send a message and profit from that message. And it's freaking nuts, dude. Like it's
How many
crazy
people?
to see.
How many people would be like out of business if the actual realities of racism were spoken instead of all of this nonsense?
Dude, there's
racism
organizations
stuff?
that are getting funded millions and millions and millions of dollars over it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And like I was just watching a thing with Morgan Freeman, how he was in an interview and the guy was like, being I think
It was Chris Wallace. It wasn't Chris Wallace. It was
when he was like being a black man in America, whatever, and he was like, "Stop right there! I'm just a man in America."
Yeah.
And Chris, I think it was it Chris Wallace? I think
might
it
have
was.
been.
He was like, I didn't mean
in that same interview, he was asked about Black History Month.
Yeah, and he was like, it should just be History Month. Like
he's
we
like,
should be a part of American
Well,
history.
he goes, "Is there a White History Month?"
Yeah.
You're saying my whole
Yeah,
history
yeah,
gets
yeah, it's that one.
Is only 1 month?
Yeah.
I love that because a lot of like kind of those race purveyors that profit off of the victimhood of
Right.
well, racism is real. There's
Right.
shitty people out there that
For
have
sure.
stupid ideas about other people. That's never going to go away. We're not going to ever get rid of racism.
But it's funny, but like we think that we can do justice of giving Black History 1 month.
yeah.
It's like, isn't that kind of doing the complete opposite of what we, in theory, everybody thinks it's supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to make them feel special 1 month. Okay, well, we're just
dude,
going to forget about it all the rest of the 11 months?
I get why Chappelle has had as many conversations in his specials about the transgender stuff. Because think about it, like if Black History is 1 month, and it's the shortest month,
Right,
but yet Pride Month is an entire month,
right.
and it's a brand new thing, and like the atrocities that African Americans and just Black people throughout history have endured, they're way worse,
Right.
than the struggle for the LGBT community to be embraced.
Right. Well, yeah, and
It's like I get why he's like this. I don't have a problem with those people. I have a problem with the conversation around those people.
yeah, and it's crazy, and like why can't we just like all come together and say, okay, this is a part of just we're America. Everybody has the right to that's part of
Well, I
being
think
freedom.
I think we are that way when you step away from your phone.
Right. Yeah, and then we're just getting back to social media. It's
Yeah.
social media that just because you're constantly seeing it, and now people are like, oh, you didn't repost that post, or you didn't do this, or you didn't do that. You're not you don't support, or you don't do this, or you don't do that. It's like
black
that's like-
square.
yeah, it's like the black square during like the whole. I'm like, guys, like, why can't we just like
I think that there's a part of that it's very difficult to hate up close.
right?
You have to be really a loathsome person to hate somebody that's in your presence for a time trying to get to know you.
Right.
You can still not like somebody or not, but to like truly hate people, it's very easy when you separate them and you have an enemy now that's depersonalized. It's not a person to you.
Right.
It's true. I think we're coming close to a tipping point where the upper, louder people that are, big tech and, politicians and even some celebrity, we're getting to a point where their relevance is being seen as not as much as we think it is.
Right.
It's like that guy, like, I don't know, dude, it was hilarious. So, the singer John Legend?
Yep.
So he, on Twitter, posted this video. Well, Pfizer actually posted it, but it was a video of John Legend. And he says, I care about my health and my family, my kids, and that's why they're all boosted. And he's doing this whole thing about, make sure your kids get boosted. Well, Pfizer had to go turn off comments on that tweet because they were getting filleted. Dude.
Really?
It was like, this guy is irrelevant. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Who believes this shit anyway? Like, just people were, it's like that's why there's such an issue. One of the reasons why people were mad that Elon bought Twitter is because before they just would throttle those comments. You would never know other people think that way.
Right.
You think I'm the only one that thinks this guy's an idiot for saying what he said. Oh, I guess I'm the weird one.
Right.
When everybody feels that way. And I think that there's this kind of like the dam is breaking.
Well, I personally think, this is just my opinion, I think there's more of thinking that that's wrong than we think. Because like you said, when we can't see the comments or we don't see any of that, it's like, oh, like I feel like I'm one person in a sea of this big sea.
Yeah.
When there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of comments or millions of comments or millions of stuff out, it's like, oh, there's a lot of people. And is it a majority? Is it a minority? I don't really know because a lot of that's silenced. Yeah. And I think that it's done on purpose because they know that the majority thinks, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is that more people think that way than don't.
Right.
But yet there's this very strong message that's put out there through, TV and movies and things where it's like, this is how you should think.
Right.
This is how the good people think.
Right.
This is what and it's like, well, not really. And I think the people that are like, well, not really, are starting to look around and be like, oh, yeah, we're not the weird ones.
Well, then I'm like, who are you to tell me what to do and how to think? Just because you're good at basketball or football or whatever, movie star, stop trying to tell me how to think. Like, you can say, stand up for what you believe in, sure, but stop trying to put it on other people and say that you're a bad person or degrade me because I don't think like you think. Yeah. And it's like, if you really want to stand up for your culture, stand up for that, how about you fight for a year's worth of, quote unquote, Black History Year or American history, instead of you stand up and do all these rallies for 1 month and then 11 months later, you never say one thing about your history. Like, why? Like, why can't someone stand up and say, let's fight for like true freedom and true unity? But you're dividing your own self. And it's like, I had a buddy, really good friend of mine out here in Salt Lake City, put a billboard up because he founded whitepeoplemeet.com.
Really?
He got demanded to take it down.
Whitepeoplemeet.com.
Because there was like LDSsingles.org.
Farmers Only.
There was Farmers Only, Christian Singles. There was, blackpeoplemeet.com.
Yeah.
There was, so it was, whitepeoplemeet.com. It was 2 billboards away from blackpeoplemeet.com.
And
he had to take it down. And they took out his website, got canceled, had to sell his company. He's a big company. He's a big dude.
Wow.
And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, now we're dividing. So now you're causing this like reaction of now people want to fight back. And like, why can't we just all like.
The irony of that is that things like that make it very easy to become racist.
Right. Yeah, it can make you hate a culture.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why are you so against me? Like, I was just trying to, I'm an entrepreneur.
I was doing exactly what you do.
Exactly what you do.
And now I'm the bad guy now?
Right.
Like that, yeah, I see that a lot. A lot of the nonsense that we see, I find myself like having bad thoughts about certain people. And I'm like, that's not the role. That's not the thing.
Yeah.
I can see how lesser, like, people that are, it creates racism.
Yeah.
That's how racism is created, is when there is a lopsided dialogue in an unfair sort of thing. That's why, and they're very strategic about it too, because it's a crazy thing where it's like they've changed the definition of even what racism is.
Right.
Technically, you can't be racist to white people, according to the definition that they're trying to push.
Right.
Because white people have all the power and the white supremacy and the systemic whatever, and it's like, oh, no. You talk about like I remember watching this clip with Andrew Tate, and he was talking about women specifically, not race.
Right.
But she was like, this woman was like, men do this, men do this, men do this, men are bad, men are shit, men are this. And, you know, they have all the jobs, they have all this. And he's like, first of all, no, you're talking about a very small percentage of men,
right,
that have money and power and this and this and this. Most guys are miserable. Most guys don't get laid. Most guys don't have women that, like, they don't make more money than women. Most guys, like, he's talking about like the exactness of men is this, and you're saying all men are this,
right?
And it's a very similar thing as far as racism. I think that, like, it gets, again, I'm not black, so I don't deal with what they deal with when it comes to that. So there's certain parts of that experience I will never understand,
right?
But I am observant,
right?
And I can see what goes on. It's like, I think a lot of things are being, there's more there's more demand for racism than there is supply.
Right.
So they have to make things up to be racist that aren't racist.
Like so I grew up in one, I think it's the most diverse school in the country. Like over 70 countries of kids went to our school.
Really?
High school. I went there my whole life.
Okay.
Little preschooler all the way graduated there.
Okay.
I remember many, many times in our own great state of our religious state of Utah getting Molotov cocktails thrown at us. In the crowd, a big pole with a little black doll with a noose swinging in the crowd, Confederate flags,
really?
Like everything in schools in Utah.
Wow.
And the names they would call us, you know, brother love. I'll say brother lovers, you know, like, and like we would just laugh, and our coach would just preach love. Like, love these people, love. Well,
they're clearly hurting.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's like, they doesn't, and they were in rural towns. But then, you know, we go raise some hell. One was really, really, really bad one time at the state championship after we just lost, and it was like a brawl going on with everything. And we go to the state, and we're like, what's up with this? Like, we got to figure something out with the Utah basketball, you know, the Utah Athletic Association, whatever. And they're like, oh, they hushed us. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, and then it's funny because a lot of our foreign exchange students are from Africa. Well, they don't really have a lot of racism in Africa. So like, what does this even mean? Why are they mad at us? What did we do? What did I do? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm like, they're mad at me, and I'm like, but I'm, you know, my grandparents are basically from off the boat from Italy and Germany, so I wasn't here. Yeah. Like, I don't really know why they're mad at me. And then we got a bunch of these, you know, African kids that are like, I have no idea why that, like, what's even going on. So like, it didn't really hurt us. Right. But I'm like, that's like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. So like, I do understand, but then I'm like, why? Like, we didn't.
Yeah, I want to make sure it's very clear. Like, I am in no way minimizing the experience of having to deal with that.
Yeah.
Or minimizing other things that are systemic when it comes to, you know, there's like all sorts of housing lending stuff that came out from the 60s and stuff that was really shitty for black people. And there's gerrymandering of districts to make sure that, you know, things don't happen properly I get it. But at the same time, the way that I choose to look at this is like, okay, so let's work on focusing on, let's get that stuff changed. If we visibly see something that's not because of some person, but it's because of the system, because you can't change everybody.
Right.
You can change the system. And I think we've gotten to a place where there's no legal way to discriminate.
Right.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah.
Now let's focus on developing better people, because that's going to be the issue. But also we have to give credit when things do change.
Right. Yeah, and so you go to those, I mean, that was when I was in high school, so that was 10 years ago, or I guess a little bit more than that. So now you go to these places, and they're cool with us, right? Like, they're accepting, everything's, you know, times are changing. We're cool with them. Like, hey, like, thank you. You know, I got a buddy who still coaches there, and hey, like, he's like, it's way different now. And like, it's now our regions have changed because the school's gotten bigger, so we're more in the you know, the suburbs and the cities of the main, you know, down this Wasatch Front. But it's like, it's funny because they would try so hard to make us mad, and we're like, we don't even know why. It doesn't bother us.
Yeah. Well, I've felt that a way to look at it that I think is healthy is to equate life to like a game of Hold'em. It's not what you're dealt, it's how you play your hand.
Exactly.
You can have pocket aces and lose.
Right.
And you can have a 2 and a 3 and win the pot.
Exactly.
And so that's where it gets to be like on the person. And that's why America, I feel, is so important as a country, and for us to maintain the goodness of what we have here so that we can continue to do that.
Right. And like, you can like take the person for what it is. Like, I wouldn't say like those towns that we had those issues with, I wouldn't say it was a whole town.
Yeah,
I'd say it was a bunch of
people.
stupid idiot high schoolers. But like, you can't, you know, when something happens, or one race does another, or one, you know, this or that, or what, like, just take the person for the value that the person's don't judge an entire country or like just take the person for what it is.
One of my favorite comedians, Brian Callen, he says, he's like, people need to be smarter, man. Like, he goes, there's so much better reasons to hate somebody than the color of their skin.
Right. It's true. It's true. Like, it
he
means
tells
nothing.
a story of like how in Africa there was these two tribes that were like next to each other, and one was really tall and one wasn't, and they hated each other. Like we're talking like Hatfield McCoy times 10 type hating each other. And he's like, people hate each other. That's going to be the thing. And we get attached. The problem with racism, it's based in hate, but the racism and the problem is the hate that's the problem.
Right.
And I'm like, that actually makes sense.
Right.
Because there's going to come a point, if you look at how our world is evolving, where there's not going to be that much delineation between race.
Right.
Like everybody's fucking each other. And so you've got black and white and Chinese. Everybody, it's going to look an amalgamation of kind of like this it's going to look like some average person, little darker skin, dark hair. It's going to be the same. So what are we going to hate then?
Yeah. Then what? What's the agenda then? I mean,
when we're all the same.
Yeah. It's crazy. And like, I don't know. It's funny because then you say like everybody's mad about one race or another, or white people this, or in America this or that. It's like, first off, we weren't even founded by white people, really. Like it was, you can say it was Spaniards or Spain. They're relatively darker colored skin.
Right.
And it's like, well, then you go to like Africa or you go to like the island countries in the Caribbean, everybody's black there. It's like, so what? Like, it's the region that we're a part of. Why? What's wrong with that? Like, why? Like, you came to like our region. It's like me trying to go there and saying all this stuff, and they're like, bro, like this is just the way it is. Like we're just we're dark because
they're trying to like whitewash history too, or blackwash it, I guess. And like when you look at the history of slavery, period, like the Irish, there's tons of slaves in Ireland. There's tons of slaves over Europe. Like it's not a solely black thing.
Right. You go to Jamaica, they talk about these big plantations that they have, and I'm like,
it's not solely a black thing. Like but that's been more of the talk because of like the popularity of America. There's the boats that came over from Africa and the whole timing of that. But
well, then you have the Japanese back in World War II. Yeah, and they gathered. I mean, in the 40s, they put them in camps. I mean, I have my wife's grandpa was put in a camp. And our great grandpa was put in a camp. He's still alive, and he was in the military, in the Navy, in the military on a warship, and they put him in a camp.
Wow! I
mean, our own government did that. Then it's like he's like, hey, like you'll talk to him. He's a little salty about it, but he's like, it's just the way it was, and they don't know what they don't know, but like it is what it is, and it's just I don't know, it's crazy.
If we could only just love each other, man.
I know.
Just fucking peace and love, bro.
Right. I mean,
we need to get everybody high,
dude. But it's just due to too much brain cells to be worrying about stupid stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's true that like you clearly don't have. You're not actively engaged in making your life better if you can allow those type of things to like stop you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you gotta keep dreaming and vision alive and keep doing you and keep trying to help as many people as you possibly can, and you can only control what you can control. Try to be better, try to be good, and the idiots, you just gotta get out of my way. And what's cool right now is power of social media, and a lot of people kind of the voice or there's a lot more voices coming on because Twitter's not being filtered anymore. Yeah. Is that we'll see a lot more people get shut down, a lot more things get shut down, a lot more things nonsense get shut down, and voices being raised, and I'm excited to see what we can do as a country.
Good ideas win, man. Like if you're allowed to have a true marketplace of ideas, the best ideas win.
Yeah, and I don't understand like some of these initiatives like that was going on during COVID, and especially with the movements that was going on. And I'm like, you're literally like preaching hate. Like I don't understand why in any situation.
Like I said, they're bored.
Okay. Yeah,
our life in society is too easy.
Right.
We don't have to kill what we eat anymore.
Right.
We
Especially
don't have to
just sitting at home for
chop
COVID.
wood anymore. Yeah. We can like get riled up over dumb stuff because we have too much time to sit and think about it.
Yeah, way too much time, especially during COVID. You just sit on your freaking phone. There's nothing else to do, and it's crazy. I mean, that's a whole another thing. But how fast everything shut down, and that's bizarre to me.
It was bananas.
Like I never thought in my wildest dreams that the United States and the world could do what happened.
Yeah, it felt like a different country.
Yeah, it felt like a different world.
I remember I had a buddy that had access to like one of these little CrossFit gyms because they had shut everything down, and we would go work out there. And the dude that owned the gym, it was like we were in Germany or some shit because he's like, I can't let anybody see you coming in here.
Oh, dude, it's nuts.
I'm like, this is America. And he's like, I know, but like, and to credit to guys like Waylon because he was calling bullshit on that from the jump. He's like, they can't do anything to you.
Right.
What are they going to do? Fine you? Don't pay the fine. Like, then sue them afterwards. Like, this stuff will never, ever stick. And it's true. Like, it's not sticking.
No. And it's crazy. Then it's like, the essential businesses. Well, what's essential? What's not essential? Why is it essential? Then everybody got in that argument. Then everybody's like, we don't really know what to do.
Well, dude, weed shops and booze were open. Like,
Heck
that's essential.
I guess so. People got to drink. Yeah, that was the liquor stores were like the number one thing to open. I think sales like shot through the roof during COVID.
Oh, dude, I remember I drank so much during COVID. Like, it was a problem. I really had to check myself afterwards, and I had a period of sobriety when I was done because I just couldn't deal with it.
Really?
Because you're at home, and it used to be that you have a drink on a Friday night or whatever, and hang out and laugh, and then it's like, well, it's Monday, I ain't got nothing to do. Well, might as well. And then next thing you know, you're fucking drinking 6 days.
You never leave your house. You never do anything. I had more home cooked meals during COVID than I can ever even imagine that's ever. I mean, it was kind of cool because I met my wife at the end of 2019. COVID hit, and we just pretty much just spend quarantine together. Wow. And just chilled. It was a good time. That was
probably good for your marriage.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually really good for her family because I got to. I literally every single night was a home cooked meal at their house. Yeah. They're like my brothers, and we're so tight now. And it was really cool because I don't think I would have. They're so busy that I would have never been able to do that now. Yeah, and it was cool. I had a good time. I mean, I partied during COVID. I traveled a lot. I went to Mexico a bunch. I mean, right when they were letting people fly, that I was flying everywhere as much as I could. I mean, we bought a dealership in 2021, or we bought dealerships in 2020, and then a couple more in 2021, the beginning. And dude, I was freaking going everywhere. I went to Cabo at the end of 2020. Dude, we were mobbing everywhere. I mean, as much as I possibly could.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, it was. So I'm like, damn. Now everything's busy. I'm like, shit. We need a little bit of something to go off so it's not so busy. Everything was cheap back then too.
It's true, man. Everybody was needing business.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Mr. Parker, do we got the current events?
Yes, we do.
All right, what do we got here?
I've been thinking long and hard about this one.
Sounds dirty.
Doctors call it concerning. The average penis length has grown in 30 years from 4.8 to 6 inches erect.
Damn! 1.2 inches is a lot.
That is a lot, dude.
I think the Asians getting out of this culture must be breeding out.
Well, like I said, everybody's breeding together. Yeah. And so,
well, then I would say
it's raising the average.
I'm not gonna say.
So, what are the details? So, this was a study that was done.
Yeah. So it's analyzing 75 studies over 55,000 men from 1992 to 2021.
Okay.
And it's 24% growth over nearly 3 decades.
Okay, when I hear shit like this, I think, so who was the guy that was like, you know what we need to do? We need to take these 75 studies and we need to see how much dick size is growing. We need to see what's going on. I wonder if it was a woman that just like met a dude.
So that's good for me. So I'm saying so you said 3 decades. Mm-hmm. In another 30 years, I'm going to have 24% growth.
Yeah. Well,
baby, you know what's coming for you.
Well, you've heard of reductionist math, right? It's basically the concept. The easiest way to describe it is that kind of like with water, it can heat up until it boils.
Okay.
But after boiling, it's different. So there's going to come a point where it's not going to get any better.
Oh, damn. I was going to say, by the time I'm 90, that's, I guess, 60 years from now. It doesn't
keep growing, I don't think, does it?
Dude, well, he's saying the studies. It says
I know,
30.
but that's saying that
the average size.
Men, the averge.
Oh, yeah. So I guess that we're born
It's not that dudes' dicks are getting bigger.
Damn it, I had some hope.
Yeah, well, you can still have hope. I mean, self-belief is a powerful thing.
Yeah, I guess there's some plastic surgery and some things that I could do.
But they're saying binging junk food and being mostly sedentary is affecting that. So
really? I was going to ask,
making it bigger?
Yeah.
Okay. So it actually grows, or men are having bigger ones?
No, they're just analyzing all the different studies. So they're not like tracking 55,000 men over the 3 decades. They're just looking at 75 studies.
A cock.
Yeah, I was going to call my dad. Hey,
we're doing a study. Can you?
Have you been a part of this study for the last 30 years, Dad? Well, what's going on? Just curious about what's going on. Dude, I was going to ask if human growth hormone, because I know there's a lot of human growth hormones in a lot of our food. I wonder if that has a factor to it.
I bet it does. I remember when because I had
it's a human growth hormone.
I had lymphoma. For a bit. I had testicular cancer and lymphoma.
Damn.
And when I went in to get testosterone, the first clinic that I went to, they didn't want to give it to me because it needed to be stacked with HGH, human growth hormone, and for the changes to happen in my body. And basically, they were saying that human growth hormone makes your organs grow.
Yeah.
And it can make cancer grow.
Yeah.
So I went to a different doctor and got testosterone. But
Yeah, I know HGH makes everything bigger. Like that's when you
noses, ears, the whole thing.
when you see a lot of these bodybuilders.
But balls smaller, so that's weird.
Yeah. It'll all shrink them. But yeah, when you go see these bodybuilders, they enlarge hearts, enlarge organ. I mean, everything's massive. I mean, it's wild to see.
This is a fun fact. So supposedly that's the length of your cock.
Okay.
The bottom of your thing to the tip of your thing. And it's at the base. So,
Okay.
There you go, ladies.
That's as big as my wife's
Next
foot.
time you go on a date with a guy, shake his hand and
Yeah. Damn. I was there on the celebrity golf tournaments with the NFL guys.
Yeah.
Holy freaking, they like swallowed my hand up.
Yeah.
Now I know.
The pelvis breakers.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel bad. I know their wives. I'm like, shit, I feel bad for your wives.
I know, dude. I made that, dude. That's a funny thing is that if, like, after Shaquille O'Neal got divorced back in the 90s, the woman he dated immediately after that was like 4'11".
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's destroyed.
I was like, dude, I'm like, she must have like a convertible pelvis or something. Like, how do you come? You don't come back from that.
No, you don't. Destroyed.
She's like a lollipop,
ouch.
dude.
Ouch.
Just a fucking,
Yeah, spinning around in circles.
yeah. All right, what else you got, man?
Reminds me of a time in Thailand. That was epic.
From Science News, we have psychedelics may improve mental health by getting inside nerve cells. So they're looking at a study where magic mushrooms, LSD, other things, including
Like psychedelics?
Yeah, psychedelics. They are promoting growth of nerve cell branches that receive information. It's called dendrites. And they think that it's going to have effect on mood, lowered anxiety, and help with things about post-traumatic stress, depression, and chronic stress.
I love that, dude. I actually know that's something that I know to be true. There's something about the compound. Have you ever done magic mushrooms?
Mm-mm. But so in the last like 90 days, I bet I've had 20 people ask me this and tell me the journeys they've been on and everything, and I'm like,
Mother Earth is calling you, my friend.
there's something. Something's meant to be with this,
Dude. So the main compound that causes the trip in mushrooms is called psilocybin,
right?
And it's very close to in its formation, the compound itself, to DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine. DMT is actually released by your pineal gland it's like your third eye. When when people talk about when they have near-death experiences and there's like the light and that's because there's a release of DMT into your system, and it's very it's very hallucinogenic, like you see shit, right?
Really?
But psilocybin itself does a lot of the same things. It just doesn't do it as fast as DMT. And psilocybin has been proven to regenerate damaged brain tissue.
Really?
So, like, they use it now. Like, you've heard people talking about microdosing and using mushrooms as a medicine. Well, that's what it's doing. It actually, in the article, he talked about dendrites. Like, so basically, there's all these different pathways in your brain that how energy is communicated.
Right.
And if you've had issues with trauma, like concussions, or you've had really bad depression, or you've had any sort of things there, sexual trauma does it as well, like damaged stuff in your brain, it kind of has to go around those areas of the brain based off of like how the energy is transmitted. So, and all those darker, depression type of things are originating in your frontal left cortex, like so this part.
Okay.
And the way that it's described is it basically goes in and repaves the roads.
Really?
Like in your mind. There was a period of time, this was 4 years ago or so, I took about 6 months of time and I tripped every other weekend and I would journal about it. And I noticed that as that happened to me, my thoughts would become clearer. I had an ability to be very articulate in what I was thinking and connect more complex ideas more easily.
Really?
And it really was something that helped me to like be sharper and more balanced.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys that I'm being told about are like very prominent businessmen in my life.
Well, dude, they talk like the main people at Google and stuff. They have talked about they go to Burning Man and trip balls, and they use it to tap into the cosmos to understand the best ideas for humanity and stuff. It's some real shit.
Dude, it's nuts, and I never really heard about it. I mean, I know high school, college, everybody's tripping on whatever.
Yeah.
But now there's like a direct effect to it, and I think Canada just fully legalized mushrooms.
Yep. Well, Oregon, it's legal. Mushrooms are legal.
And so I've heard. So what I was told by one of my buddies is that it has to go like step 1, step 2, step 3. and to be federally legal, and then it has to go through another testing process, back to step 3, and then it's approved by the FDA.
Yep.
And then mushrooms and I think LSD are on step 3 of finishing right now. So I don't know if it's going to be
as MDMA.
Yeah, that's what it was. Not LSD. It was MDMA and mushrooms or whatever it is. They're going to be medically.
Yeah. The MDMA mode is going to be interesting because that's basically what ecstasy is.
Really?
And it's, Molly or whatever you want to call it. I've never done it before, but I've heard that when you do it like properly, it's really quite good for your mood and your outlook, and it helps you because it's basically just what the drug does is it just stimulates your feel-good receptor or whatever that serotonin or whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. It's like the party drug. Everybody just has a good time smiling.
Yeah, but the crash after that is you feel like shit for like 3 days because you it's like a muscle. It's like you just did all biceps for thing and then you just can't move your arms for 2 days, and that's that gland that was released that they did. But when you use the medicine differently in a more controlled way, it does. You don't have
because they're talking about, like you said, like a microdose or like a very controlled way instead of just popping some pills to go to a rave. Yeah. That's a little different.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what that can do for CTE in the NFL. I mean, that's why I own a cannabis company for Revenant. Is we own it with Jim McMahon.
Yeah,
and
that's right. You're with my buddy Greg McCluskey too.
Yeah.
Bear Flag.
Yeah, the Bear Flag brand.
Yeah,
and we're really good friends with him. He's I think he's one of the investors.
Yeah, he's with Kyle Turley in that business.
So Kyle Turley, Evan Britton, Jim McMahon.
Yeah,
that's why I was down at the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And
I didn't know you went to the Super Bowl.
Or I was down there. We Revenant sponsored the cigar party.
Okay.
And then also the celebrity golf tournament. And I mean, that's why I got behind it, is because CTE and all the things that the cannabis does for CTE. So I'm interested to see what this was. It
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin. I'm interested to see what it does.
Yeah, it's undeniable at this point. It's on a similar trajectory that weed was, but it's happening faster because weed kind of paved the way.
Yeah. Well, and this is more. It's less like street recreational, wrapped about like. It's almost it's less like taboo, I guess, because it's not really talked about much. Yeah. It's just there.
Well, and it's being viewed as an actual medicine.
Yeah,
there's even been this push with weed to like call it cannabis because it is a medicine, and to get rid of the slangness of how we in a way like reverence, have reverence for what it can do as a beautiful, because it's one of the most incredible plants ever. What things it can do.
Yeah. No, I will see what happens. One of my buddies said that he does some journeys with his wife, and said that he's never felt more connected with his wife.
It's real shit, dude. Like it's a very cool thing. Like I've had moments like that with Amy, even with cannabis, like where you get on a nice stone and there's like just a softness there that connects you, and it changes your mind.
Yeah, unless you get so high you can't have sex, then it's just like, damn.
Just pop a pill, bro. Combine the two.
Well, you just so high you forget what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Just laying on top of each other. Oh, shit.
Wow, what is this? Why are you inside me?
What do we do? Like, I'll just get off of you. Just, like spitting. Yeah. I'm not going to say that's ever happened, but.
You're like, wink. Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. It's been awesome. Appreciate you.
Yeah, so where do people find you if they want to learn about your RV business, they want to buy one from you, if they want to follow you, where do they go?
So HaugenRV.com, it's HAUGEN RV.com, it's kind of like more of a landing page at the moment until we're ready to rebrand everything. But it's got all of my different stores in there. I got 8 stores, a 9th opening up actually in a couple weeks, so we'll be 9 stores total. Me personally, Jason Haugen, again HAUGEN, but I'm on show notes. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. You can hit me up, DM me. I'm always on there. So yeah. Cool.
It's been a fun chat, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, man. You guys know what to do. If you like the show, please share it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and everything. If you feel like leaving me a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, I'd appreciate that too. But this is Stand Up.